And welcome back from the break. In the studio right now I have John Boyce, Artistic Director of the Arts Theatre. Hey John, how are you?
Hey Denny, I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, very well. Thank you for giving me your time today.
Nice to be here.
Thank you. Now, I've just, you've recently just worked on The Woman in Black.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
In general?
Yeah, I guess, like, what do you love about the play?
Well, I guess I must really love it because I've done it now. This is my third time of directing the play. I like it because it's got so many levels to it. It's very well crafted. It guides the audience through the journey quite nicely, and it works in different time frames. Even though it's set in Victorian times, it's still very recognisable language today. It doesn't overdo it with too many these and thous and thys and goodness knows whatever else. And because it's a play with a lot of descriptive passage, it still is able to be quite minimalistic, and it encourages the audience to use their imagination to guide them through the actual process of the play. Plus, of course, all those wonderful technical effects of ghosts turning up here and there.
That's awesome. Now, when did you actually start directing?
Probably about 20 years ago, I suppose now. Primarily, of course, I've been an actor for quite some time, since I was a child, but I just thought it was the natural progression, basically, to come from acting to directing. So about 20 years.
So was there something that you weren't always interested in directing? It was the next thing you were just saying.
No, far from it. I didn't really want to. I just thought it was the next part of the process.
Right.
Of the journey, I suppose, as a performer, and I'd like to think that as an actor director, I sort of have an inkling about what it's like to be moved around the rehearsal room or through the production week, culminating in the productions. I suppose that understanding, I think, of what the actors are going through, instead of just looking at it from a textual viewpoint, I suppose, like some.
Right. Now, what are the biggest challenges that can you think of any challenge that you've had throughout your career?
Well, I think that in general my career has been basically a challenge, but I think just getting it right is always the hardest challenge, and making people happy, or in some way or another artistically stimulating them, or educating them, or entertaining. I guess probably the most important. So it's all a challenge, I guess.
Like, what inspires you? Are you more drawn towards theatre rather than film yourself?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're a theatre man?
I've dabbled more in television than in film as such. I've only been involved with a couple of films, but I did a fair bit of television in the early and mid-90s, various different things, some with wombats. That's a clue. But yeah, I like the process with theatre, that the audience come with you on the journey.
Yes.
And as a performer, the audience are there with you, and that, I think, helps the performance. I've never been one, I suppose, that can sort of turn it off and turn it on like a tap. I like the process to grow. The wave,
yeah. What projects have you worked on in the past?
Oh, how far back do you want to go, Denny?
I could go a little bit. I could go really, really, really deep. But I mean, could you say what was one of your favourites? Can you think of one of your favourite plays that you've done?
One of my favourite plays was being involved with a play called Miss Bosnia, which was written by Louis Nowra, and he wrote it for the University of Southern Queensland in the early 90s. And I was lucky enough to come back as a returning graduate student and be part of the process. He wrote it as we rehearsed it and performed it, and then culminating in an actual season. So to have a character written before your very eyes, I suppose, and then rehearsing that, and to its conclusion of showing it in front of an audience, which we did, I think was a fantastic opportunity for me at the time. So that's certainly one of the high points. I also did a few years ago a puppet show called, well, it was The Hobbit, actually, a touring version. So I got to work with all these wonderful puppets and fell in love with puppetry.
Yeah.
And I've been very interested in puppetry and ventriloquism and stuff like that ever since. So that was a fantastic opportunity.
With that, what direction do you want to go down in the future? Do you want to do puppetry again?
I'd love to do puppetry.
Yeah.
I'd like to put puppetry into mainstream theatre.
Yeah.
I don't think puppets are primarily just for kids.
Yeah.
I mean, although the kid inside all of us loves things like that, puppets, cartoons, things like that. But I would love to make puppetry so believable that it, could be viewed as anything contemporary or.
Yeah. Because I believe, theatre is like people go to the theatre for the experience.
Yeah.
Like to get away from their own.
Yeah, and if theatre's good
lives.
enough, then you're immersed in it, and so therefore you become part of it, and you forget the surroundings that you're in, which is one of the beautiful things about Woman in Black.
Yes.
That people forgot that they were in a theatre watching a show, and when something happened that affected them, they reacted. For example, like when a ball would drop from the ceiling, people would lift out of their seats, or when a character would appear in the aisle next to them, they naturally would assume the body language of wanting to be away as far as they possibly could from what they deemed to be menacing as such.
Is that satisfying for you?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in a play like this where when it finishes, or the last curtain as such, because I didn't put a curtain call in this one, and the house lights just come back on, and the audience is just sitting there completely still for several minutes sometimes. That's a wonderful, wonderful feeling. And then I'd sneak out into the courtyard and watch and listen as they'd file out, and more often than not, they'd still be in silence.
Yeah.
Which is, that's the sort of things that you aim for.
Well, you've done your job. Hey, you can leave the night happy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I guess so. And I haven't always. Not every play has that same sort of effect. So this one is a bit of a special one, and I'll probably continue to do it many, many more times in my life. Yeah,
because like you said, you can just do it so many different ways.
Yeah, and every time I've done it a different way.
Yeah.
Perhaps I hope I'd never get to the point where I overdo it and put too much into it. Perhaps I'm a little bit guilty of that with this one, but I think the audience didn't mind so much.
No, I'm sure they didn't, because it's endless. Hey,
yeah,
you can just yeah,
absolutely.
Now, what are some of your favourite theatre actors?
Theatre actors, throughout history, as such.
Throughout history, or just maybe like your top 3 or something.
Well, I'd have to say that a theatre actor who became a worldwide movie star, I suppose, would be Richard Burton. I'm a big fan of his. The most beautiful Welsh voice. His narration in productions like The War of the Worlds and some of those other things is just fantastic to listen to. I quite like the film actor Tobey Maguire for some reason.
Oh, okay.
The chap who played Spider-Man.
Really?
Every time I see him, he seems to be doing something that I don't expect him to do in a film.
Like, do you believe that it's important to make good choices when you are an actor or a director?
I don't know if always good choices are something you're able to make, because if you want to make a living out of particularly theatre, you pretty much take whatever you can get a lot of the times, which is one of the wonderful things about working in community theatre, because I have a real job, but I do the real job so that I can do the arts theatre, basically. And the wonderful thing about that is that as artistic director, I can choose the plays, I can choose the directors, I can choose the theatrical journeys. I don't think a lot of people are really afforded that luxury in the professional world. Every now and then I'll turn up and do something professional when I'm asked to do something, but I don't actively seek it so much anymore.
Okay.
I mean, I'm quite happy with what I'm able to do at the Arts Theatre, I suppose, is enough for me at this stage of life anyway. I mean, it may not always be that way.
Yeah.
But that's my outlet, my creative outlet, I suppose, is that place. And it is for many people. That's why we thrive, and that's why we're 75 years old and we're still going.
I know, it's amazing.
So we have some hard times, but
but you're
we're still going. I think we'll always be there. We've been there longer than anyone else.
I know.
We've been longer than Queensland Theatre Company.
Do you believe that there's actually like a ghost that wanders through the theatre? Have you seen it yourself?
To keep up the premise, yes, absolutely. But no, not really.
No.
Although there are some people at the theatre that have sworn that they have had lunch with Jean, who is our resident ghost there. Some of the old pictures around the place are pretty spooky. But no, I haven't been witness to anything paranormal.
Yeah, I think Emma, when she was there, it's like she swore she saw something, like a silhouette or something like that.
Oh, anything's possible.
Yeah, but I need a little bit of proof sometimes, you know, but I don't know.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, well, thank you so much, John, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasures. Okay, well, after the break, we're going to cross back to Emma at the Arts Theatre, and she's going to be interviewing the actors from The Woman in Black.